There is a forest in the west of Ireland that is not shown on any map. There are rumors that it draws those who are lost and won't let them go. John is currently racing through it in an effort to get out before it gets dark. In addition to the several signs that read point of no return and have various numbers on them, his watch has stopped and he continues returning to the same spot. John realizes that nightfall has arrived as he sees a flock of birds soar overhead, so he attempts to hide by scaling a tree. Suddenly, the branch snaps, causing him to tumble. Fearful, John goes into his backpack for a knife, but before he can protect himself, an enigmatic thing comes and snatches him away. American immigrant and artist Mina is employed at a pet store in the city in the meanwhile. Her boss asks her to accompany him to a zoo in another city after introducing her to a bird one afternoon. Before bringing the bird home, Mina gives him the name Darwin. She informs him that tonight she is going out to forget because today is her mother's 15th anniversary of passing away. Wearing a wig, she goes to a bar pretending to be a man and to meet guys. The following morning, she begs Darwin not to pass judgment on her, stating that she enjoys dressing up because the real her is unlikable. To complete the delivery, she drives out of the city and into the countryside, stopping only for gas. Her twin sister calls when she's traveling, but Mina doesn't answer and instead hears the voicemail. Mina's sister chastises her for missing their mother's memorial, pointing out that 15 years had passed and urging Mina to quit avoiding her relatives. Mina ignores the voicemail as well and drives off, missing the sign near the woodland that reads dozens of missing people. A short while later, Mina is unaware of the location when she crosses the woodland. Just before the car breaks down and leaves Mina stranded, her phone and the car radio start to malfunction. When she exits the car, she notices a point of no return sign, which leads her to believe that someone may reside nearby. After going back to the car to get Darwin and her suitcase, Mina goes missing and makes distress calls. After deciding to head back after nothing happening, Mina discovers that the car has vanished. She is now forced to continue exploring in search of a way out. As darkness sets, she hears noises and sees an elderly woman fleeing nearby. Suddenly, a flock of birds soars overhead. Running after her in desperation, Mina sees her go into a building where the woman tells her to run in if she wants to survive. When Mina does just that, she finds two more people inside. The elderly woman introduces herself as Madeline, and the other two are Daniel and Chiara. They refer to this structure as the coupe, and since they got lost in the jungle as well, they have taken refuge there. Mina is hauled to a mirrored window by the gang while Madeline describes the monsters beyond as the Watchers. Every night, they arrive to observe them through the window and go before dusk. Mina steps forward under Madeline's direction, and the audience applauds, welcoming her to the stage. After that, Mina sits and considers her mother as she looks out the mirrored glass. Mina disregards the advice of the others and departs the coupe in the morning. She hears someone whispering her name as she strolls into the forest, and she spots a girl asking her why she did that from a distance. Mina is so terrified that she takes off running. When she reaches the top of a hill, she realizes she is in the middle of a massive forest with no end in sight. Madeline tells Mina when she returns that although everyone tried to flee, no one was able to do so. A person may experience hallucinations and perhaps go insane in the forest. The signs serve as a border and are landmarks arranged in a circle around a half-day's worth of travel from the cooperative. Once you cross the line, you can never return. The professor is the person who created these placards. Mina is forced to accompany the others back to the coupe. Daniel gives a speech in the evening announcing Mina's return to the show, and Chiara plays some music so the watchers may dance. Mina tries to divert her attention with the reality show DVD disc they acquired, seeing the professor's name on the box's back. When the party goes food hunting the following morning, Chiara shows Mina how to identify therapeutic herbs. Daniel gets headaches a lot, Chiara says, and John said he liked Chiara. Chiara's spouse, John, departed 6 days ago, and they haven't heard from him since. Chiara also agrees with Madeline's opinion that someone could go insane if they see a watcher. She then takes Mina to a burrow and tells her that there are many of them across the forest. The watchers spend their days living in this network of tunnels that connects them below ground. To Mina's surprise, Chiara acknowledges that she and John moved here about 5 months ago, though she can't really remember because she lost track. Madeline teaches Mina the survival guidelines later on at lunch. The rules are read aloud by the three of them in a rather spooky manner. They must never turn their backs on the mirror, never open the door after dark, never go near the burrows, and always stay in the light. In the meantime, Mina tries to pass the time by watching reality show and making sketches in her notebook. At night, she stares at the mirror and hears noises outside, but she doesn't trust it. One night, she goes to bed too early, and the creatures begin to roar and screeching outside. Madeline makes her stare at the mirror until they stop. Later, Daniel mentions that he used to hunt with John when he goes to check on their animal traps. Meanwhile, Mina shows up and keeps seeing that little girl in the forest. Daniel tells her that Madeline used to be a university teacher, which is why she thinks she knows everything. He's been here for 8 months, and Mina finds it strange that he hasn't seen a watcher. Both Daniel and Mina acknowledge that they don't believe Madeline when she tells them that she does. Despite Daniel's fearful objections, Mina suggests that they go into a burrow where she uses a rope that Daniel holds to explore the underground. She discovers a ton of abandoned items such as a video camera, a stuffed rabbit, and a newspaper dated 1992. Additionally, Mina sends Daniel a bicycle through the rope. Mina shouts out to Daniel at that very moment after hearing an odd noise in the shadows, but he doesn't respond. Mina screams once more as the hand with 6 fingers slowly emerges from the shadows and begins to talk in a strange language. This time, she manages to regain the rope. Shortly after, Mina claims to have discovered them beneath a large boulder and shows Chiara and Madeline everything they had taken from the hole. Madeline disagrees with Mina's belief that the bicycle could aid in their escape, even though she can sense Mina has seen something. Mina continues to dispute her repeated questions about it. Daniel, in the meantime, attaches the camera to the coupe's power supply and explains that the professor must have installed it when he constructed this location. Now that the TV is connected, they now have a rudimentary security system. The gang sits around the table that evening, waiting for anything to happen on the television. Chiara hears a knock on the door, and a moment later, legs can be seen on camera. When someone speaks, Chiara gets eager to hear John pleading for permission to enter. As soon as she notices that Chiara might be tricked by the Watchers, Madeline bans it. A fight breaks out as John continues pleading and claiming to be harmed, and Madeline makes Mina and Daniel acknowledge they had tampered with a burrow. Because Chiara is still determined to save her husband, Madeline forces her to ask a question that only he could know. Regretfully, even though they bought the book together and it reminded him of Madeline, John can't recall the title of the book she is currently reading. Chiara asks John to put his face on camera, but he refuses. Just as he's hauled off, John shows up on the TV and begs for assistance. Next, something strikes the camera, shattering it. The group hurries to stand in front of the mirror as the enraged watcher outside beats it till it breaks through. With the intention of soothing the Watchers, Madeline returns the bicycle to its burrow the following morning. Mina says she's done disobeying the regulations. They drag the bicycle into the dark inside the hole. After that, a flashback depicts how young Mina drove with her mother and sister, indicating that the young child in the forest resembles the twins at that time. When Mina disobeyed the rules again, her mother became irate and forced the window to close, trapping Mina's fingers in the process. Her mother was distracted by her scream, which is why the automobile crashed. Mina is still drawing the signs in the present and remarks on how the forest is tricking her before marking the trees she has already checked on. Weeks after weeks go by, as the days grow shorter and colder. Everyone is beginning to lose hope and is beginning to crumble. Mina hears Madeline yelling at Daniel, telling him that they could soon go hungry as he hasn't fished anything in a long time. Mina continues to scribble on the floor while Chiara watches the reality show in the coupe, ignoring all of the arguments. She turns around abruptly and discovers Chiara has vanished. When Mina dashes into the jungle, she spots Chiara standing on the brink of a hole, thinking of erasing herself so she can be with John once more. Upon hearing a scream, they pursue the sound and discover Daniel tying Madeline up. She claims Daniel went insane, but he simply replies they're going to play by their own rules going forward and then dashes back to the coupe. Mina remains behind to release Madeline while Chiara chases after him. When the two return to the co-op later, they find Daniel and Chiara have closed the door. They have little alternative but to flee and hide inside one of the traps, since the rotting smell may cover up their scent as the birds are beginning to fly about them. A watcher eventually emerges above the trap when Chiara and Daniel are standing in front of the mirror, but it is unable to recognize the women and moves in the direction of the coupe. It roars as it rises to its full height, calling forth more powerful watchers. Daniel informs them that 2 of them are missing when they approach the coupe too closely, so the watchers set out to find the missing women. After clearing the area around the coupe, Mina and Madeline rush to the door and plead for forgiveness. Daniel is warned by Mina that he will be haunted by the same error as she begins to relate her story of how she killed her mother and how she is unable to live with the guilt. When the door eventually unlocks, the 2 dash inside before shutting it once more. Daniel gets a swift reprimand from Madeline, who tells him that although she should have murdered him months ago, dealing with the Watchers is now more crucial. As they stand in front of the mirror, Madeline says that she was a mythology and folklore teacher in the past. When she initially arrived in the forest for research, she encountered a Watcher that appeared to be a malformed version of her. Often referred to as changelings or fairies, the Watchers appear in a number of classic tales. They wish to observe people in order to learn from them and eventually turn into them. Abruptly, a Watcher impersonating Chiara begins pounding on the door, pleading for assistance. In an attempt to elicit a response from the humans, additional Watchers soon begin scaling the coupe and mimicking their voices. The gang hears an odd noise and discovers a square on the floor beneath the carpet after pushing a table in front of the door. Daniel strikes the square till it opens, and they find a bunker as the Watchers outside grow more and more hostile. As soon as Darwin and the others descend the stairs, the hatch is closed and the Watchers eventually flip out and enter the coupe. They discover the location of the professor's former workplace when they turn on the lights. They will have plenty of food, literature, and files to last them for a very long time. A very ancient computer that isn't connected to the internet is also present, but Mina discovers a collection of video journal entries that date back to 2009. Professor Rory talks about how the animals staring at him through the window excite him. In every video, Rory gradually loses his sanity and eventually acknowledges that the workers he employed to construct the coupe were being murdered by the Watchers on a daily basis. In another video, he talks about how a Watcher manifested as a little girl and asks whether humanity could utilize that ability. The following tape shows that Rory managed to apprehend a Watcher and made an attempt to make friends with it, but the animal was enraged. On day 300, the final video was captured and Rory conceded defeat. He had a message in case someone found it before he killed the Watcher and deleted himself. Following the birds will lead you to sign 134, where he left a boat on the river. In addition, Rory encouraged the audience to demolish everything in his university office. When Mina hears the gunfire in the recording, after everyone decides to leave on the boat first thing in the morning, Chiara celebrates by playing some music. When she tries to convince Daniel to dance with her, he becomes melancholy and tells her that he got lost in the wilderness while fleeing his abusive father. When they do manage to get away, Chiara gives him the assurance that he can stay with her and they embrace. The gang follows Mina's markings the following morning and locates sign 134. Darwin is set free there and they begin to follow him through the jungle. They eventually come upon a stone marker and Madeline tells them that the fairies were confined there after their battle with humans was lost. They have been attempting to return ever since, but they are unable to withstand the sun because they have lost their wings and powers. Mina keeps seeing the young girls nearby as the gang runs forward. Nightfall is heralded by the birds flying around them as soon as it starts to rain. The party rushes to reach the river since they can hear the Watchers approaching. All of the women are able to board the boat, but Daniel freezes when he hears John's voice. Chiara tries to tell Daniel that it's not real when he emerges carrying John to the shore a few seconds later, but it's too late. The false John transforms into a different creature and uses its claws to kill Daniel. Then, as additional Watchers round it and fix their gaze on the trio as they row away, its body goes blank. The Watchers are unable to escape the jungle, but Madeline reassures the others not to worry. Darwin and the women eventually locate a bridge in the morning and cross it to wait for a bus to pass. Luckily, the driver allows them in, so they can unwind on their way back to the city. Later, Mina keeps thinking about her mother's passing as she takes a shower. Her sister kept shouting for her as she lay in the middle of the road, showing scars on her face. The next day, Mina poses as Rory's niece and visits the institution to grant his final wish. She finds a research paper on the Watchers, the coupe's blueprint, and an illustrated scroll that leads to a tape recorder with some of Rory's research. The fairies coexisted happily with humans before the battle, sometimes even becoming partners. Rory believed that the half-blooded children of those marriages, who were born with the ability to walk under the sun, might still be hidden as humans in civilization. Mina sees some shocking photos while gazing at a massive work of art. When Mina sees Chiara later in the evening, she reveals to her that Madeline was Rory's wife by displaying the photos she discovered. However, lung cancer claimed her life in 2001. According to Mina's theory, Rory attempted to reunite with his wife by enslaving Watcher, who later transformed into the Madeline they encountered. The actual Chiara then drives up to the house, proving that Madeline Watcher has been posing as Chiara for Mina all along. When the actual Chiara walks into the house, the Watcher crawls on the ceiling and then transforms into John. John uses his voice to divert Chura's attention and knock her out. Mina tries to flee, but the Watcher follows, flinging her around while it takes on Daniel's body and whines about humanity. When Mina falls, a mirror breaks, and she clutches a shard for protection, but the Watcher only pulls her around, thanking her for assisting it in getting out of the forest. The Watcher then emerges from the forest, assuming Madeline's shape, and says it has always wanted to go because the other Watchers made fun of it for being able to walk in the sunlight. They named it Daywalker and Deformity, so Rory received it in the hopes that he could aid in its escape. But the Watcher killed Rory before he could shoot it. The Watcher changes into Rory and then Mina in a matter of seconds, snatching the real one by the neck in order to murder her and take her corpse. When Mina admits that Rory had a secret, the Watcher leaves her alone so that she can discuss half-bloods and how more of them are out there lurking among people. Because of its mixed blood, the Watcher discovers that, during its life as Madeline, it was able to experience human emotions. Suddenly, its body changes to display wings. Before it takes off, it tells Mina that it hopes she is correct that there are more of its type. It flies out to land on the roof. Mina then follows up to see how Chiara is doing, gratefully. After a while, Mina makes a reconciliation visit to her sister and her children. She also talks about her encounter in the forest, saying that on sometimes she has the impression that the Madeline Watcher is lurking among the throng, observing her. Although it can take many forms, the one that Rory most frequently saw was the small girl. Darwin is observing the streets from the window, while the Watcher is gazing back at him. To ensure you never miss any updates on new videos, kindly click the bell icon, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.